Hi, my name is Jesse Martinez, and on behalf of my research team, I'm excited to present our work, Joint Media Engagement in Families Playing Animal Crossing New Horizons during the COVID-19 pandemic. For a brief introduction, Animal Crossing New Horizons is a lifestyle simulation game in which you play as a human who moves to an island inhabited by friendly animal villagers. It was released shortly after the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, and it saw record high sales and widespread popularity, which was in part attributed to its wide appeal and pleasant, positive tone. However, we also suspected that part of its popularity was due to how it supported productive joint media engagement, particularly within families. Joint media engagement, or JME, is when any two or more people are looking at the same media at the same time and are involved in the content together. And this interaction with each other and with the media helps produce additional meaning in the interaction. Prior work from Takeuchi and Stevens has identified 6 conditions that facilitate productive JME. These are mutual engagement, dialogic inquiry, co-creation, boundary crossing, intention to develop, and a focus on content, not control. And so we set out to answer the following research questions. First, how are Takeuchi and Stevens' 6 conditions for productive JME manifested in ACNH? Second, in addition to these 6 conditions, what other conditions are present in ACNH that support productive JME? Third, how has the COVID-19 pandemic environment impacted JME as we observe through families playing this game? And fourth, what design implications can we derive for building games that support productive JME based on this case? Within this talk, we're going to cover primarily the first 2 research questions and touch on the fourth, but I encourage you to look to the full paper for a full analysis of these questions. In order to answer these questions, we conducted an interview study with 27 families, consisting of a total of 33 parents and 37 children. We used a 3-phase interview structure, where the first phase involved the parents and children together, the second was only the children, and the third was the parents only. We did this so that we could get the group perspectives as well as individual perspectives that were not biased or influenced by the other groups. So our first result was that we found all 6 of Takeuchi and Stevens' conditions for productive JME were in fact present within Animal Crossing New Horizons. Within this talk, I'm going to touch on how these 3 manifest within the game. That's dialogic inquiry, co-creation, and intention to develop. But I once again encourage you to look to the paper to see our analysis of how all 6 manifest. So our first condition, dialogic inquiry, describes when participants engage in dialogue about how game topics extend beyond the world of the game. So in the case of Animal Crossing, we found that some mechanics provided explicit facts for parents and children to share and discuss with each other. So this included when players would donate a fish that they caught to the museum, they would receive facts about the real-life habitat and nature of the fish. And similarly, famous paintings were recreated within the game, and players would receive information about the art and the artist. Other mechanics used more complex topics as a framing, such as mortgages or investment in the in-game stock market. And these prompted families to discuss the larger implications of this beyond the information that was presented in the game. Our next condition, co-creation, describes the collaborative creation of artifacts or designs that produce shared understanding among the players. So within Animal Crossing, we found that families often collaborated on the design of their in-game island. This included public shared spaces across players, as well as sometimes collaborating on private spaces. So here we have one of our participant families' islands, where this winter castle theme extends from the outside public spaces all the way into each player's individual private space. Some families also recreated real-world locations within the game, and this was often attributed to sentimental reasons of not being able to visit these places due to COVID restrictions. So these included a favorite Chinese restaurant or a bowling alley. And other families created metagames within Animal Crossing together, such as musical chairs or something that uses specific mechanics within Animal Crossing, such as a game where players try to keep each other from talking to a specific villager. And then our third condition, intention to develop, describes a focus on growth and the development of skills through the gameplay experience, particularly skills that extend beyond the world of the game. And so we found in Animal Crossing that parents often motivated their children to pursue passions that they could explore within the game. So the game has options for artistic pursuits and also has a lot of factual places to explore, such as learning about fish and bugs. And parents tried to foster this excitement within their children. We also found that this was often viewed as a place for children to develop social skills. Parents considered social play in this space a safe environment, where parents could also observe how their children interact with each other. As one dad framed it, he said there was a weird nerd dad pride in watching his daughter leave him behind, like watching your kid on the playground being a good person. Moving beyond Takeuchi and Stevens' 6 conditions, we also found that there were several other emergent conditions that we felt were contributing to productive JME. So the first of these conditions was variety and flexibility in play style. So essentially, we felt that differing play modes attracted more players and allowed for collaboration across different play styles. So within the game, varied game activities allowed players to choose how they wanted to play, and notably, these activities did not fringe on other players' games. Varied co-play options allowed families to choose how much their gameplay affected each other, so they could all play as the same villager on the same island, or some families even had separate islands via separate Switch consoles to really set those boundaries. And then finally, the flexibility of goals allowed players to change their gameplay style without needing to catch up to other players. So if someone had invested a lot of time in design, they could just as easily join their other family members in a fishing contest without being at a disadvantage. Our second condition that we found is indirect jointness and disentrainment in gameplay. So essentially, this was opportunities for connection and interaction during single-player gameplay, even when other family members were not involved in the game or even present. So artifacts of other players' gameplay actions connected players in asynchronous play. If someone created something on the shared island, independently, someone else would go back to the island on their own and find that. And that created a sense of connection between these people playing separately. And additionally, the game lent itself to families taking shifts to complete shared tasks, where one family member would wake up early to do the weeding, and another would harvest all the fruit from the trees later in the day. We also found that specific family members sometimes completed tasks on another person's behalf, with the intention of those actions being noticed later. And then our third JME condition we found is the scaffolding of effective interactions. So essentially, these are built-in game features that allowed players to consider other players in the game, and this facilitated meaningful interactions between them. So the game included a lot of explicitly inter-player social mechanics, such as the ability to send letters or presents to each other, and this prompted players to do things for each other even when they were playing individually. Similarly, communal tasks and the ability to share resources allowed parents to support their children's gameplay. As one mom framed it, she considered herself the bank of mom, and said, I give everybody all my stuff because that's fun for me, seeing the kids enjoying the game without the grinding, without the repetitive harvesting actions. And so we found that in addition to Takeuchi and Stevens' 6 conditions, these 3 additional emergent conditions really helped facilitate meaningful interactions and connections between family members, and particularly across parents and children. And so based on these emergent conditions for productive JME, we provide 3 design recommendations for game designers looking to support JME within their games. So the first is to provide a persistent and shared digital space to enable disentrained and asynchronous interaction. The second is to allow for flexible in-game progress that enables players to play in personalized styles. And then the third is to enable social life simulation, both between players and NPCs, and notably within players. Thank you so much for listening.